Good afternoon. Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're well. Am I coming through okay? Yep. Hope everybody's okay and trading well, and most importantly, trading safely. As we know, that's the most important thing. I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin actually before we go into the markets. I don't know if anyone's a crypto person. I am. Ahmed, how you doing, mate? I am a kind of crypto guy. I'm not a crypto trader at all by any means. In regard to trading crypto all the time, if I find a position or if I find a trade in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, the big ones, basically the major players in the crypto market, then yes, I will take a trade on probably the higher time frame charts, like I do here. But for me, actually, we saw this in on the daily chart, and I've just gone and bought some more Bitcoin. Actually, I just threw some money into it on a dip, and I'm perfectly happy getting in around this 34,000 price, and again holding it. I mean, I do, we have to take this level here that it tested again in terms of Bitcoin, because remember, if Bitcoin moves, the other market will move. And I always I remember watching Dogecoin shoot up, and what's happening now was always going to happen, right? It was a meme, like GameStop and all that kind of stuff. Nick, how you doing, pal? You good? That kind of shit is always going to happen. So, I remember speaking to a few people a couple of weeks ago, and one guy was like telling me about the pancake swap or whatever with all these coins, and do you want to invest in this? And I invested about $1,000 into this really small gin company, crypto gin company called Moon Pirate, I think it's called Moon Pirate. Just as a bit of fun, right? More money, money that I can afford to lose. And he was putting in like $10,000, $20,000 into coins, essentially like with names like Moon Pirate, Dogecoin. And I said, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going the right way to lose all your money. And, you're just being smart. And everybody got so excited when the crypto market was booming and buying all these small... Oh, shit. Well done, Nick. Did you sell out? I hope you sold out. But, wow, 0.04. That's awesome. Excellent. Well done. Well done. Hopefully now being a trader and having that information, kind of take your money, right? Take your money, because these kind of things can't last. And a whole heap of money, a whole heap of people, uneducated people. This is the main thing about the crypto market. There's so many uneducated people in that market. It's unbelievable. And everybody thinks, oh yeah, this is the next best thing. It's going to make me millions. And ultimately, people don't sell. People, most of the smart investors sell out and they wait for a dip. And those people that get FOMO up at the highs, they, yeah, exactly, yeah. Buying up here, and then everybody's panicking when it's down here, selling out, creating what I think is great opportunities for smarter people like us to buy it. So, yeah, I've added a little bit more Bitcoin today. I like that hammer, and I'm happy with that. Again, this is long-term for me. Long-term investment. I'm happy to keep it for a couple of years and see what happens. I'm not worried about a dip at all. I see it as a discount. Anyway, in terms of Bitcoin, I'm looking at this V reversal. Nice corrective, good high volume push through up into this area. Now, I was just as a little tip. So on the retest for me, pens are working. On the retest for me, excuse me, here we go. Right, I can't have the retest breaching these highs. It's a very straight line, look at that. And a little tip that you can use is, if you press Control D, I don't know if you guys are MT4 or not, but I think if you press Control D, there you go, you kind of get this data window in. So sometimes if you think it's quite close to breaching the highs, you can put your cursor over the the candle and get the high of the candle there, which is 34395, and just check it against the other ones, which is 34345 and 366. So we can kind of confirm there that the highs have not been breached, right? Which is important because I don't like a retest to breach the highs. Obviously, that's not a part of the retest. That's technically a new higher high. Now, what I'm looking for with this is kind of coming down to back to this area. Again, 20 period is starting to curl up. The context is good in terms of this pattern, obviously. The daily context is nice. I think it could be potential to move in the upward direction, but I'm looking for a retest of this area. And maybe it, at the moment, looks like we're possibly getting it now. Need maybe 1, 2, 3 hours, maybe an afternoon trade here in the UAE to go long. But I don't mind that. There's, we've got some room here to move to the upside. Obviously, our stop is down here because it's a breakout retest trade. So I think we have just enough room there to potentially get, 1-to-1. But, looking at the other edge of this coin, we have to remember it is on a downtrend. Of course, we've got 2 double hammers here. It's not set up yet, but it's something that I am looking at in Bitcoin. Looks not too bad. Looks not too bad. And I think it's a counter trend trade that's worth the potential risk. It's potentially worth the risk. Now, the index today, let's get into it. The index today actually called wrong yesterday. I've been right quite a few times, not to big myself up, but I was definitely wrong on this occasion. I didn't think we'd break through, and I was worried that, on a break. However, we're getting this reaction here. Possibly we come back and retest this area before moving up. Possibly we end up moving on to the highs. I think my bias now with what this price action is we come back and retest this area. I think that kind of possibly has to happen. Let that 20 catch up, retest here to continue to the upside. I certainly don't see any reason why the SPX falls again. Well, should I say falls significantly again? The argument for that would be a potentially deeper corrective here on the daily chart before moving to the upside. I don't think that's going to happen. My personal bias now is we retest this area before hopefully some price action like that before moving to the upside on the SPX. Now the dollar, I have to do a little quick one today because I've got a meeting at 1:30 with my developers, so I have to be a little bit quicker today, but that's okay. And also, guys, just so everybody's aware, I'm changing my YouTube schedule. So because I've just got so much work on the backside with my website, doing videos, etc., that I'm going to change the YouTube to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just simply because I don't have enough time, unfortunately, for the time being that I'm live. But anyway, if you're subscribed, you'll get that notification. But the dollar here, and obviously I'll do my A1 stream as well on every Monday. It's going to be tomorrow this week again because I wasn't feeling well on Monday after the vaccine. So I will be live 4 times a week on YouTube, which I believe for my trading style is probably more than enough. Anyway, dollar here still, we've got to look at this on the daily. Still in corrective mode, is it? Nothing there at the moment telling me we're changing trend back to the downside. I just think, again, it just needs a bit of a corrective back to this area. I do think we breach this resistance area, personally. That is my personal bias, that we do come back probably around that 40-60 box for a correction in dollar. So I would just be wary of buying the dollar today or tomorrow. I could be wrong. It could hold this. But, my bias is the dollar comes down a little bit more before it goes back up, personally, in the dollar. So I talked about Bitcoin. Pound New Zealand we are currently in. I think this setup on the lower time frames has failed because it needed to push through. Pound seems to be coming off a little bit, which is fine for this trade. It's already locked in profit almost about 1 hour. So I've got a little bit of room before the stop is hit anyway. We have this resistance area. But this as a setup, as unfortunately, as we've seen in the last little while, has failed. I think I think this month is just a month that, you know, you kind of get through. For my personal strategy, it's just a month that, you know, I kind of get through and start again in July. They're going to happen. They don't happen a lot, but they're just going to happen from time and time again, and we just move on. Thankfully, I had a great month last month. That allows me to be okay with this month. But hopefully, you know, we've still got a little bit of time before the month closes, that we can get some nice trades out of it. So everything can change very quickly. That pound New Zealand is off. NZDCAD, we're still in. New Zealand's having a little bit of a movement to the upside. But I do think we're still in this wedging structure on the smaller time frames. If this does come down again, I fancy New Zealand CAD to then move to the downside. That is still my bias. If we break through these highs, again, we do have that 200. If we break through these highs, possibly it might not look as good for the interim. However, for the trading perspective, the stop is massively up there. So we've got room to move. If it does break through, it's okay. You know, we're managing this on the daily chart. I think, you know, I still potentially think maybe we have a few days here before we move to the downside. The path of least resistance is to the downside, so that's always going to be my bias. But again, very choppy markets. And I think if you're speaking to a few traders, very choppy markets indeed. And finally, this Aussie New Zealand, as I talked about the other day, is still setting up. So this Aussie New Zealand is still setting up here, roughly back to that 20. Needs to show us something within the next day or two to potentially go to the upside on Aussie New Zealand. I still like it. It's still valid. Just have to wait for the setup. And finally, I want to quickly touch on this because this is, as I go on, I've talked about my fake out strategy, right? And it's you know, as I look through the charts and, you know, you kind of notice things and notice other things. And I'm noticing now that it seems to be the euro, selling the euro might be the name of the game for this. Now, because if you look at EURCAD, right, again, and I am quite excited about this strategy, but I obviously can't use it. Yeah, certainly not on my real account. I did try it on this 200k funded, but obviously it didn't work out. I think I'm going to start the new one again on Monday. That's what I think, because I think the best times to start these funded accounts is probably when you're kind of getting to the end of a drawdown. So I think possibly starting on Monday might be a good thing, considering, you know, the markets have been pretty shit recently. So starting it when potentially, you know, it starts to come back up. So that's my personal plan, start a new one on Monday. Anyway, so we can see here in the 4-hour chart, right? Whichever level you want to take with this EURCAD, you know, this price action here, from this impulse, it has broken through. It's not, I mean, you can potentially say it's climactic. I wouldn't really say it's climactic. Climactic is more like this, but it's certainly extended. Right? And getting a bit of volume at the top of that extension. Okay, and we drill down to this lower time frame charts. Right, look at this on the 30-minute. Look at that. 30-minute chart here. Still, okay, not massive volume in it, but still higher than what was preceding it. Right, perfect hammer on the 30-minute, perfect hammer on the 1 hour. Right, not as perfect as the 30-minute, but look at that. You know, that is just, you know, I mean, brilliant. That's exactly what you want to see, and that shows the power of this potential strategy. You know, you're going against retail traders is what I like. You know, you're getting a lot of traders probably trapped long, and bang, fake out happens, and look what we've, you know, look what's occurred. And I think I've noticed it a few times selling the euro. So I'm going to add this to my spreadsheet today. Probably next week I'll share that with everybody. In terms of the statistics I'm building up. But that looks great. You know, your first TP is probably underneath that level right here, considering it's a fake out, right? Which probably on this chart is somewhere roughly around this area. Okay, so that doesn't seem a lot, but it's still about 1.5R there. And depending on how you want to manage it, my personal thought right now is using an SAR where is the us here, SAR? Right, in which case you'd probably be out of that trade at this point in time. Now, considering that stop is 18 pips, 19 pips. Paul, how you doing, pal? You okay? You know, you're out of here, you know, on 80 pips. That's 4R on this particular fake out trade. So, like I said, I'm still trying to perfect this. It's not something I'm trading. It's not anything as like I have with my breakout and breakout retest, but it is certainly something I'm excited for, and it just shows the power of this, right? If you get it right, if you see those extensions, particularly in the euro, particularly selling the euro, I've noticed, and this is why I'm not trading it right now, because it's something you still need to develop, etc. It took me a year or a year and a half to develop my own personal strategy that I trade. But if you look at that, and it also, okay, so let's look at something else as well with this euro, right? Excuse me. So Euro NZD was the one that I also noticed. I wonder if I can find this before I get off, before I go, just to kind of show you what I'm looking at. Actually, I'll show you EURJPY because that's easier to see, because I know exactly where that is. So it was here. And again, I think it's a great potential great strategy because it gets you smarter than, you know, those retail traders that are trapped in the market. So 20th of April. So we go back to the 20th of April on this chart. Where's the 20th of April? Oop. Where's the 20th of April? Excuse me, don't mind me. Here, no, okay, so sorry, it was on the 30-minute chart. But I do think this is quite important to see whether you like this idea of a strategy, whether you don't. It's that, you know, that's completely up to you. I personally do. I'm just quite excited about it because when you get something, it can be really good. So we can see this massive climactic move, right, in the EURJPY, and if we would drill down to the 4-hour chart, it kind of looks like this. So big push up, right? Massive push up, obviously big extension, and that rejection there on that 30-minute candle. And look at this volume, high volume there. So your stop loss is above this candle, entry in here. First TP is at, you know, underneath the level, the fake out level, because that's the premise of the fake out. And boom, off it goes. So very exciting. Anyway, I'll keep updating that and hopefully start implementing it into my trading very soon. So that is something that I'm excited for, and I think it could be quite good. Anyway, that's all. Again, there's nothing much happening for me today. I have to shoot off to a meeting, but thanks for joining everyone again. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all again on Friday. Trade safe. Cheers, guys.